I would imagine you just guys are surrounded by fun today, right? You have a ton of fun in every direction because you stacked your entire chips of fun on the Winnipeg Jets, just as I did on this channel yesterday. Maybe we stacked a couple other things on it, but the meat and potatoes of the picks for you, Dan. You showed up yesterday. You're a Dan. You searched NHL bets like a Westworld searcher, and you said, honey, this guy, he said we got to take the Winnipeg Jets. Come on, you're really going to believe a guy on YouTube? But I searched him. He was the top guy in NHL bets. Okay, honey, let us know how much you're down. And then he came in, honey, we won. We won. I want to go see what he says tomorrow. You're not allowed to watch more than one day. I'm your wife, and the max you get is one day. So I'm happy that he was able to have himself a good Tuesday. I guess maybe we'll see him on Thursday. He's forced to take a day off with all that fun that he won yesterday. But happy that those Jets picks were good across the board, every single last one of them. Jets money line was good. Said sprinkle a little bit on the puck line. And then once again, we did the same thing we did in that Boston game. Anytime there's a team who isn't conceding a lot of goals, and if you've been paying attention, the Winnipeg Jets, what is it, 15, 16, 18, 20, they just broke a record for the most consecutive games of allowing 2 or fewer. And if you know a team's on a defensive run like that, and you ever want to bet on them, I mentioned this on Picking Corners a few times, I said you can try to pick line mates and take the double under, non-top line, non-top power play line mates, but I did that with Palmieri. So I went with Palmieri. He was cold, even though he ripped a ton of shots toward the net. Under half of a point for Palmieri, we were able to get the Winnipeg Jets at plus money. That was a beautiful thing. The Rangers, they snuck to the over on an empty netter, which wasn't great to see. But if you listened to the video yesterday and you know who told you this, the transcriber. There's a transcriber who must watch my videos, and then I guess he likes to just bullet point the picks. And the reason I love it is because once I get to the ruckus same game parlays, he doesn't know what to do. He's legitimately confused. He likes to cleanly and concisely say, Winnipeg money line, under 7, under 6. He likes to have it bullet pointed. But once I'm Peyton Manning behind the line of scrimmage going, ruckus, ruckus, we got a crosser there. We got 2 points for this guy, 1 point for that. He just skips it and goes to the next one. So I appreciate that, transcriber. And it was so nice of you to let everybody know it was lean Rangers and the under 7.5 if you were going to go that way. So while we didn't hit the under 6.5, we were right with our general sniff in that game, along with the Washington game where we did hit the under and we did hit the lean towards Washington. So that was very good on those fronts. Then when we roll our sleeves up and move over to the ruckus, one game was ruckus, one game was not ruckus.
Ruckus, a high-scoring affair where defense is optional, but the over is guaranteed. These types of games provide hockey bettors with the best opportunity to hit a long shot payout and fulfill their rags to riches parlay dreams.
And the first game, oh man, it started out. We got the 2 points for Giroux. You saw the McCarr point on the ticket. Anybody I saw in the comments, some of you guys took the over 6.5 with that. Congratulations. It's the beautiful thing about sniffing your own way. On the Patreon, some of the people hit the 2 points for Rantanen, 2 points for Tkachuk that I gave out. It's the assortments. You just want to nail a few of them. If you're able to nail 2 points for 2 different players, you can really stack some winnings. Now, if you guys want a little teaching moment here on a Wednesday before we talk about this 3-game slate, I've been noticing a couple different players, a couple different defensemen, top power play defensemen. I mentioned him yesterday, Thomas Chabot, right? Well, it's not just him. On the Patreon 2 days ago, I gave out Brandon Montour for a point. These are 2 guys who missed a chunk of the year. But do you remember what I told you about the defenseman on the power play who gets a free point? You get a free point because you distribute it to your left and distribute it to your right. This is Victor Hedman. This is Adam Fox. You want to know the difference between those two? They're both at like minus 200 for a point. But because Chabot and because Brandon Montour have been injured for the most of the year, they are plus money on their points on a nightly basis. And last night, we saw Chabot get the secondary assist, the free point. Night before that, we saw Brandon Montour get the secondary assist on the power play, free point. Last night, Adam Fox, I mean, high price, but the secondary point on the power play. That's a great way to weasel some player props. That defenseman who's distributing on the power play. Now, it stings to take the Fox and Hedman at the high prices, but in this next little stretch, until they adjust it, I'm going to be looking at Shabbat and I'm going to be looking at Brandon Montour on any game that I think can potentially be high scoring. Oh, wait a minute. We talked about a guy on tonight's slate, but I guess we'll revisit that in just a second because we had those two Ruckus same game parlays. The other one, there wasn't as much Ruckus in that game, but it's not like there was none at all. If you did 2 points for Austin Matthews, which was like plus 160 on the night, and then 2 points for Evan Bouchard, who is what is Evan Bouchard? Another one of the free point power play defensemen who distributes to McDavid, distributes to Draisaitl. So on to Wednesday, where we got 3 games on this slate, because that's what we should do, NHL. We're right in between playoff NFL weekends, so when everybody can potentially be watching the NHL, and I can try to gas up the NHL and say, you guys got to watch this game, you got to watch this game, you got to watch this game. What do you give us? What do you give us? You give us Montreal at the Devils. You give us Florida and Detroit. I mean, I guess that's okay. And then you're sending Chicago, Buffalo. Thanks, NHL. You think maybe the league could have used a little Edmonton versus Toronto tonight instead of the full slate? You know what? You know what? You never had your car either. So we have these 3 games. You want to know who's going to be really happy? I don't even know if he watches anymore because he asked me questions that I answer on the video. And then when I say, didn't I already answer that on the video? He just responds with smiling emojis, laughing emojis, crying emojis. He's one hell of a character. He's Stevie Bong Rips, and he's on his 2nd tear of the year. This guy was that kid in high school who started the mile, and he just came out sprinting, looking back at us. He was laughing as Detroit was raking up those October wins. And then Stevie kind of sank into his chair a little bit, and he's like, oh, we got to push the Detroit back 1 more year. And then all of a sudden he goes, wait, what's going on in January? Oh, we're back. You know, he was catching his breath. He sprinted out of the gate, and then everybody passed him. And then when he got that 2nd win, he started sprinting again. And here comes the Detroit Red Wings winning game after game. These aren't easy games to win. I mean, going up to Toronto, taking care of them. This is as good as they've played since that opening month. And they're going into Florida. And Florida, they're hitting a little rough patch. I mean, you give up that many goals. You lose at home to the Ducks, who just got shut out the very next night. It's not like some magic version of the Ducks. And then before that, you lost to Jersey, who, you know, I'm not too high on them, especially missing a couple of their star players right now. I'm not going to trust Florida in this game. Stevie Bong Rips, I know you're dying for me to take the money line. I just need to play it a little more cool than that. I'm going to go with the plus 1.5 for your Detroit Red Wings. While they're playing this well, I'm going to hop on them. They beat the Kings twice in this stretch, and I think they're looking pretty good to try to get this plus 1.5 done in Florida. Both teams to score 2+. One of my favorites. That's one that I absolutely like in this game. You can hold it. Now on DraftKings, you can definitely do this. And you can do this on Bet Rivers. You can do it on Ballybet. There's a couple of them you can do this on. Both teams to score 2+, and then give me the Brandon Montour point in there. I don't want to combine the Brandon Montour point with the Detroit plus 1.5 because they counter each other. I don't want to need Brandon Montour to get a point, and let's say it's a tie game or Florida's up by 1. I don't want to put myself in that position. But both teams to score 2+ with a Brandon Montour point is something that I like, and that will get you to plus money because Brandon Montour probably starts you in plus money as it is. So the Brandon Montour point, there's 1. Both teams to score 2+, there's 2. Put them both together. That's nice money. And then also what I like for the game is the Detroit Red Wings plus 1.5. If you want to take those both teams to score 2+ and add it to potentially the Jersey both teams to score 2+, because Jersey, they don't play a ton of defense. And Montreal's not the worst. I trust them to get 2. They're decent at getting 2, and I'm leaning towards the over in this one. And it all stems from New Jersey. New Jersey, until I see something that's significantly different. Yeah, it was a low-scoring game against Boston. Who do you think that was because of? Boston. But if they're going to trade chances with a team like Montreal at home, I can see this one going over. It's not my absolute favorite, just in case, 4-2 ain't going to get you there, and I can see a score like that in this game. but I do like that both teams to score 2+. And then in that last game, Buffalo, they're sneaking some wins here. I generally like taking a team after a shutout. Obviously, the line is disgusting. They're playing a Blackhawks team who played the previous night, has to travel into Buffalo. I mean, I don't know. Buffalo's got some miserable weather, but it ain't like Chicago's anything great. So they're just going from miserable place number 1 to miserable place number 2. In terms of the weather, I'm sure all the things are very fun to go out and do. Talking about the weather at this current time, all right? You watch those NFL games over the weekend. But what I'm going to do is go with Buffalo to win and then give me Dahlin 2+ points, which is going to be mega plus money. That's a way that I can take this one because they're just a scary team to trust. But you know, coming off of a shutout, I usually like betting teams after a shutout. It's a good confidence that they roll into the next game. If there's ever a team who needs any sort of defensive confidence and to be able to even learn that they can throw a shutout at home, that would be the Buffalo Sabres. But they've been at home waiting after that Shark shutout. They just beat a bad team, shut them out on their home ice. They got another bad one coming in after playing the previous night. No Connor Bedard. Got to go with Buffalo here. You know, if you take Buffalo and both teams to score 2+, I think in either one of those games, that will get you to a decent price. But that's what I got for you here on a Wednesday. Good luck to you. Better luck to me. I got a little surprise for you, a little tease. So I have good news and bad news. The bad news is the video tomorrow is not going to be available super early. The good news is it's for a reason. Let's call it a surprise. Let's just say the Thursday show might be a little bit different than the previous ones. I think you guys should tune in. You should enjoy it because it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have your Thursday picks. There's going to be a full assortment of picks. Show might even be a little bit longer, but it will be a little bit different. Stay tuned, all right? Everybody, if you can, do me a favor. Make sure you're liking and commenting. I know it's getting redundant. I know it's getting boring, somewhat flatlining with the views and all the comments and the engagement. I know, I guess that's to be expected. I can't ask you guys to do that every day, but it is very much appreciated. But what obviously is more appreciated if you guys, you know, want to be one of the people who help fund the show by joining the Patreon. If not, completely understand, no big deal. I don't want you grabbing the last 3 Skittles in your pocket to do something like that. I give most of the picks here. Over there, I just chat with the people and, you know, I tell them what I'm thinking, why I'm thinking it, and I add any last-second tickets that weren't available when I shot the video in the first place. So if you want, subscribe to me over there. If not, I will see you for tomorrow's special video. I'll see you then.